This feature story is brought to you by Brothers Habet Limited.
Every project has to start somewhere, and Brothers Habet's got you covered. We're the place for professionals because we understand success is built on quality and reliability. For the do-it-yourselfers seeking quality tools and materials to bring their out-of-the-box ideas to life, our paint department offers a kaleidoscope of hues to those looking to express their unique style. And for those seeking the perfect touch of elegance for their homes, we offer a curated collection of household fixtures and furnishings that caters to every taste. But what sets Brothers Habet apart is our exceptional customer service. Our employees go above and beyond to ensure that every customer's needs are met. We're here to see you through your building journey. Visit Brothers Habet and get started today, or call or WhatsApp us for a quote. See you soon!
In the 1980s, Pope John Paul II initiated a worldwide gathering of young Catholics known as World Youth Day. And this continues to this day, and it usually takes place every 3 to 4 years, each time in a different location. And this year, it was hosted in Lisbon, Portugal. But to see World Youth Day merely as the events listed on the schedule would not be fully representative of what World Youth Day is. First and foremost, it is a pilgrimage.
It was a beautiful pilgrimage with the kids, the youths from our parish. I'd say we started on the 23rd with a half-hour adoration before we jumped into the van and headed towards Mexico. Getting to the Mexican border, we expected to have a short line, but there was a long line that day, so we had the opportunity to begin praying the rosary. One of the things that I planned to do with the group was to pray the entire rosary every day. Because we were going to Fatima, we were going to Portugal, to the place where Our Lady appeared to 3 shepherds. So, I just felt in my heart that we needed to pray the rosary a lot, as she asked the 3 shepherds to do. So, I think the first encouraging sign was when we were at the Mexican border, we got through without any issues. Traveling with minors, you usually have lots of problems, and they usually make your life difficult while traveling with them. We did have a little delay at the border. They sent us through customs because we were in a van full of luggage. And we were there waiting. We waited there for over an hour, I think. But that gave us enough time to finish the rosary, all the 4 mysteries. And I remember praying there, and I told Brother Ryan. Brother Ryan was he's a Salt brother, and he is in San Pedro, and they traveled with us together to Chetumal. And when we finished that rosary, I told them, Our Lady will work on the customs officer right now. And as we said that, the lady walked out to check our luggage and put us through.
I got to go to World Youth Day as a chaperone, as a spiritual guide, a chaplain for 6 young people from John Paul II Junior College. Looking back, these young people have been preparing for this all their lives. They have been formed by beautiful family members, by outstanding teachers. You don't get to be that caliber of a human being in a short period of preparation. But I did spend a solid year having at least weekly adoration, going to Mass every Sunday, coming together for meetings to better understand the culture, doing a lot of fundraising through sales and through letter writing. So there was a lengthy runway of preparation that they underwent before the journey began.
It was my first time on a pilgrimage, so that shift in mindset that I'm not a tourist, I'm a pilgrim. When you're a tourist, it's more just for fun. As a pilgrim, it's with a purpose. And so it's definitely, everything is meaningful, encountering God. And Having 1.5 million people with the same purpose definitely makes a big difference.
Before going to World Youth Day, I was just very confused of what to do with my life and just a lot of questions about myself, because I know that really knowing myself and what I'm capable of and what I can do will actually tell me what I should do. And so I just also felt like there was silence in my spiritual life. I felt like I couldn't feel much of graces from God. And so I was thinking maybe when I go to World Youth Day, like this big thing will be revealed to me, you know, the life-changing event for like a lot of people when they go out to pilgrimages.
I found out I would be going in like February or March. I was in Jamaica. So it's like a whole lot of how is this going to work out? We still had to do fundraisers. And it wasn't like, you know, small money like what we had to raise for Panama. It was like, you know, it's Europe. The plane ticket is more expensive. Just all the costs are just, you know, much larger. I started helping out with the preteen youth group. And then we did more fundraisers. I feel like because it was like a very limited time span and it wasn't a lot of us in the group, but we had a lot of snacks for donations after Mass. And we had parishioners, like they helped us out really. And thank you guys, if we have not thanked you enough. Thank you to all parishioners who donated to us financially, who contributed items to our snacks for donations, to our yard sale. If you guys prayed for us, thank you so, so much.
The other moment of grace was in Cancun. You know, we had a layover for the entire day, and so did Brother Ryan. So he joined us for that day. And what we did that day was we did a retreat. As part of the formation for World Youth Day, they have a set of catechesis that you ought to do. And we hadn't finished them, so we began doing the sessions there. But Cancun was real hot, and the church where we went is close to the terminal, but it was really hot. So we started the retreat there, and we did it outside of the church. You know, we sat right in front of the church, basically, on the door. And we were doing a meditation where they asked, you know, think in your life a moment when you were in a dark place. What came to mind was Cuba. And right at that moment, a lady came and said she was looking for a copy center or a bookstore or something. And I pointed her across the street because there was one right there. So she went and we continued the sharing, and then she came back. And when she came back, she just looked at us and says, I need prayers. And we go, okay, well, let's go into the church. And we took her in front of the altar in the church. And we all the group came and we knelt behind her. We just started praying for her. And as we began praying, you know, she just broke down and she just began crying and weeping there. And it was, you know, just so beautiful to see how the Lord had touched her heart. And Brother Ryan, you know, got up and went to speak to the priest and asked him if he would be available for confession. So we encouraged her to go to confession. And even if it wasn't confession, just go and talk to the priest, or if she wasn't ready to do one. So she went, you know, then we went back outside and continued our retreat. And when she walked out, you know, she was just so happy. She wasn't crying anymore, but she said something that really touched me. She said, I don't know why I came through this road, but I don't know, I came and I met you guys, so I know that God had some greater plan for me. And for me, that was such a beautiful moment of seeing God's grace at work.
I think going for the visa was probably the hardest part. It's one of the hardest things I have ever done in my life, which I don't know if that says more about me as a person or the visa process. Yeah, there were just so many moving parts that were difficult to put together.
The pilgrimage had two components. In order to go to World Youth Day in Portugal, the group first needed to take a preliminary pilgrimage to Mexico. In order to get visas to be able to enter Europe, Belizeans needed to go to an embassy in Mexico City. And while in Mexico City, they got to visit the holy site of Our Lady of Guadalupe and go to the Salt Mission in Colón, where they worked alongside a focus mission group from the United States, university students from the US, in serving at a senior citizens center and working with boys and girls who live at SOLT's boarding schools for the marginalized. And I think that preliminary pilgrimage helped solidify their identity as a group of pilgrims. It taught them how to give outside of their comfort zone, how to prayerfully endure the physical stressors and pressures that you endure on pilgrimage, how to relate deeply with people of another culture. And so by having a trial run of a real international pilgrimage of prayer and of service, I think they were optimally prepared for the incredible journey that they had in World Youth Day, Portugal.
Pilgrimages have been a part of the Christian life since ancient times, with the earliest pilgrims visiting places that Jesus has been during his life in the Holy Land, in Israel. With this World Youth Day, it's taking place somewhere on the Iberian Peninsula, which interestingly enough, there are many rich and spiritually edifying locations for pilgrims to visit. And interestingly enough, even though World Youth Day was based in Lisbon, and some might say that the days in the diocese took place in different areas across Portugal, it loosely took place across a much wider area, you could say from Spain to Portugal. Because wherever you went in these areas, there would be massive groups of pilgrims walking through the streets, banners, instruments, crosses, singing, dancing, playing their instruments through the streets, with their World Youth Day passes around their necks. They were there for World Youth Day.
So as we get to Lisbon, we get on a train right away to go to Porto, where we're gonna stay in the days in the diocese. And this is after like a 2-day journey from Belize. So we're tired, we're exhausted. We get to our host family about 10 p.m. in the night. And so that's where it kind of really started. And it felt like you're at home. They were so excited to see us. They had, little tea, biscuits, like snacks for us. And we just encountering the priest and the family. I think staying with a host family made such a difference, because you're with a family, you have meals together, you see their culture. And the priest, oh my gosh, like he was just so amazing. I had a little injury, and it's a small town, it's a small village, so everybody knew about it. Everyone was asking me, how are you doing, I heard. And I'm just like, the priest was like so nice, so friendly. Everything was amazing.
They were so giving and hospitable and loving, and I kept waiting for the moment that these people would get tired of us and get annoyed, because that moment usually comes for me, and it never came. And you could tell, like, there wasn't this show, like they weren't putting on a show. They were genuinely happy to have us there, and they just treated us so well. They gave us everything they had, not just in resources, but also their time.
My host was just awesome. She was so caring and would always ask for just ways to serve us. And it was just so kind of her, and she just had a very nice personality. And she was very kind and generous.
The families, they just took us into their homes, and they treated us, they opened their homes, their hearts, their families to us, and just treated us like we were a part of their family. Even though like there was a language barrier, because we don't speak Portuguese, they don't speak English that well, and they don't really speak Spanish either. So it's just like, here and there, different words, picking it up. But even though we weren't really able to communicate via words, like just through their actions, how they show us.
day of the opening ceremony, I think we were also, again, we pushed. It was full of people already, because people went to camp out like from early so that they could be very close to the stage to see the Pope. And we pushed, and we got to a place close to the fence. And while we were waiting for the Pope there, a guy comes up to me and says, "Are you from Belize?" And I go, "Yes." He says, "I am at the same seminary where some Belizeans were." And he goes, "Shahir and Manuel, I think it was their name." And I go, "Yeah, oh yes, I went to their ordination." He goes like, "What? You went to their ordination?" I go, "Yeah, we live in a small Catholic world." And he goes, and I showed him pictures of the ordination. He goes like, "Wow, this is so amazing, to find, in a million people, to find someone from Belize who knows the people that I went to the same school with." And I told him, "Let's pray." So we began praying a rosary there while we waited for the Pope to come. And as we were praying there, a lady from Benin says, "Can I join you guys?" And she begins, so she speaks French, I speak English, and the other guy from the US speaks English. And then this Portuguese guy walks up and says, "Can I join you guys?" I go, "Sure." So we began making an international rosary while we were there. So we prayed the rosary, and as we finished the rosary, the Pope came, so we got to see him very close as well. So that was another beautiful moment.
We did get to see the Holy Father a few times, and I was excited that the people from Benke were about from here to the tabernacle from Pope Francis. It was amazing.
We were filled with so many graces. I was able to see the Pope 4 times. And the first time it was almost an accident. We were kind of lost walking around, and a lot of people were there, and it's like, oh, the Pope is passing. And so we were right at the front, and that was the first day that he arrived. So that was such a blessing. And after, I just sat down, and for me, it was the moment of realizing, okay, the Pope just passed right in front of me. Being filled with the Holy Spirit, it's kind of like something changed, you can't explain it, but the reflection of that happened after. And I was able to call home on WhatsApp, and so experience it with my daughter, with my mom, with my family. I felt like, yes, they were online, but they were sharing the experience with me as well. And we were just so blessed that the Saturday evening vigil, we got front row seats. We got these special seats to sit at the front in the reserved area. We don't know how it happened. It was such a blessing. And so another event that we saw the Pope was the flag ceremony, the opening ceremony. And again, we just ended up right where we were supposed to, and the Pope passed right in front of us again. And so it was all these blessings and graces that we received as a group.
During the second week, we were going to meet the Pope. And actually those days we stayed in a fire station and with another group of some pilgrims from France. And we went to see the Pope at the first Mass. And that was it was so big. There's so many people and everybody was just shouting and a lot of applauses, and everybody was just celebrating because this was such a huge event. I couldn't really be close to the Pope, but I did see him drive by.
The first time, which I thought would be my only encounter, was during the first, I think his opening ceremony. And he just passed, so I just saw the top of his head, and that was it. I was like, oh, I saw the Pope. But then we were pleasantly surprised at the Campo de Grasa, which again is the last day. You're divided into sectors, so you have to go there. It's kind of like that's your little hotel suite and whatever. And I figured I wouldn't see the Pope, but then they kept saying, can you clear the ways by the sectors so that the Pope can come through? And we were right on the barrier of one of the sectors. Just by divine providence, my parishioners, my pilgrims were like, we need to get to the edge. And so So we ended up being there, and then they announced that he would be coming. And so we were like right there on the side, and he passed. He saw the Belize flag because we were right up against the barriers, and we had it like spread out in front of us. So I got a really close view of the Pope, which is super exciting. I was more excited than I thought I would be. I'm a little bit embarrassed how fangirl I got when I saw the Pope. I was very excited by that.
While we were there, we hadn't made the plans to go to Fatima because we didn't know the logistics that we would need to do to get there. But my thought was we're going to take the train to Fatima, and then we could either hike or get a taxi to go to Fatima. When I told the priest, he says, "Look, that was going to be an expensive venture for you guys, but don't worry, we'll try to work out something for you." And they really amazed me was that the community came together. They got a van for us, they got a driver for us, and they drove us all the way to Fatima. And that was amazing. They had other groups staying there. They had the Polish groups, but they went all out for us. And they took us all the way to Fatima. And being in Fatima, I remember we went to find Father Scott because we told him we'd meet him there. And as we got there, we went through the church where the bodies of Francisco, Lucia, and Jacinta were. And to me, that was a beautiful moment. Here, usually, I think we celebrated the 100th anniversary of the apparition of Our Lady of Fatima at Marion Jones, and it was a beautiful event. But then going there, and seeing the bodies, seeing the place where their bodies are, it's like our faith is real. It's not just an imaginary thing. You have a history that proves, these are real people that existed. So that moment was beautiful. And then I remember Father couldn't make it to the mass he was supposed to come celebrate. So he walked down around the shrine there are the 12 stations of the cross. The 14 stations of the cross. So you could do that walk, and each station has a little chapel where they do mass. So he went to one of them to celebrate mass. And we stayed in the main plaza to celebrate mass with Cardinal Tagle from the Philippines. Another beautiful moment there was, they opened the gates so that people could volunteer to help with the distribution of communion and hold the umbrellas over the priest that would be distributing communion. And just by God's grace, we were right there at the place where they opened the gate. So all our pilgrims got to participate in helping with the distribution of Eucharist at Fatima. We went to see the actual place where the angel of peace appeared to the three shepherds. And they have there the statues of the angel and the three shepherds kneeling and him giving them communion. And that was a beautiful moment because I had read that in the 3 days of consecration to Mary, to Jesus through Mary. And it's just such a peaceful and solemn moment being there, and then going to the place where Mary appeared to them, like it's very close by, and I remember praying the rosary there, and just so much peace in this place. It's such a holy place, such a holy land. It's an experience which you really can't, words cannot describe the peace that you feel in these places. And like being at the actual place where Mary did the miracle of the Son, you see people kneeling and just praying. Just such a prayerful place to be at. And Father Scott did his retreat there. We were just so blessed that the man that drove us there also knew a sister at one of the convents. So we just went and we asked her if Father could do his retreat there, and she said yes. So Father got to do his retreat in Fatima, which is a beautiful thing.
And it might be the best tangible thing that I got to bring home from World Youth Day is it was 102 degrees the day of the Mass with 1,500,000 people and Pope Francis. And you don't get 1,500,000 people who are on the outskirts of Lisbon out of that park easily. But kids from Benque can handle 102 degrees. And so it took us 6 hours to unite because I was in one part of the park and they were in another part of the park. And when our young people who had slept in the overcrowded park all night long and have pressed through crowds for 6 hours to finally reunite, Alice Isigirre had her, and they're carrying all their belongings on their in heavy backpacks. She hid in a crouch, and then she rushed at me as I was talking to a pilgrim and scared me and had a great smile. And that after going through all that you're still filled with life and fun, just showed a testament to the character of the young people from John Paul.
A God moment for me was definitely at Fatima, just kneeling down in prayer and just feeling like this is it. The experience, you can't even put it into words, but just having that experience where you're filled with the Holy Spirit. Receiving the Eucharist was another moment that was just knowing that there are so many people there, and it was an experience where praying afterwards, it was just definitely on a different level.
One of the coolest things to see at World Youth Day was our flag just in the middle of all of the other flags of all the countries of the world. It's just very beautiful because when we met with all of the other Belizeans that went to World Youth Day, it was such a happy feeling because it was only us from this small little country in Central America. And it's just a very unique event. And so if next time more can go, then at least then people will know what our flag's country is.
One of the main things that I really noted about World Youth Day, I think in the challenge of it all and the stress of it all, you can forget to look around you and see the beauty of it. And it's not the kind of beauty that, like when you're in Mountain Pine Ridge and you're praying and you look at the trees in the mountains, that's a different kind of beauty. I think like when you get home from from a long day and you're exhausted at World Youth Day or Days in the Diocese, because it was lighter during Days in the Diocese, but it was still tasking. You were up from like 7 and then you get home. Sometimes they would have things planned for us till 10 o'clock at night. So we get home around 12 and you're happy and it's fun, but you're kind of exhausted. And you don't stop to look around, but what I would do every now and then is just stop, like when we're all together, and look at the people and their smiles and think about how impossible this is. Like if we were going to World Youth Day and it's a regular thing and we take it for granted and you don't realize like these people from Crestuma, Porto, Portugal are living and worshiping with these people from Benque Viejo del Carmen, Barrelboom, San Pedro, Belize. We're sitting in the same church, worshiping, doing morning prayer together. The last day, when you're kneeling down for adoration and there's almost pure silence, there's people walking around, but 1.5 million Catholics are gathered in the same area, more or less, in the same area, all adoring Jesus. You know, even if it's through a screen or something like that, we're all adoring. Just how impossible this is, and yet we're here doing it. I think when I stopped to take in those moments, it was truly beautiful and moving to think how God can work through those things. And then you look at the big picture of it all, and it's beautiful, but then you think about all the smaller moving parts, like all the encounters. So the friendships that are being formed, or the examples that are being shown to other people, all these seminarians that we live with, some people are staying with religious and stuff, and you get to talk to them. Like Brother Ryan was in our group, and I kid you not, he probably knew every language that he could talk to like almost everybody. And those little encounters impact people for a lifetime. It's kind of like looking at the universe and seeing the grandeur of God, and then thinking of an atom and seeing the grandeur of God in that, like looking at World Youth Day in its splendor, and then also looking at the smaller moving parts, like a volunteer giving you their water, or offering for one of your sick pilgrims to stay under the tent that they're staying at, or something like that. I think, yeah, that's something that I really loved about World Youth Day.
Things that touched me the most from this entire pilgrimage was meeting a lot of, like, not just youth, but Caribbean youth. So I was the flag bearer for Belize, and so we had flag rehearsal the day before the welcome ceremony. So that day, I was standing in line, and I was behind this guy, and I was talking to him, and I'm pretty sure he was from Barbados. So I was like, "Where are you from?" He's like, "Barbados." And we started talking. Then I met this other guy from Trinidad, and so I was like, "Hey, I just met a Bajan, come outside." Then I met 2 other guys from Grenada. Then I met a girl from Dominica, and then, like, you know, the whole bunch just came in. We made a group chat. We took pictures with our flags, and that was just so beautiful for me because, like, you know, Central America is known for being very Catholic, different places in Europe. And so to see Catholic youth from other parts of the Caribbean, that was just so very beautiful and touching.
To me, the most amazing part of that vigil was when they brought out Jesus for adoration, and they brought Jesus, they put him on the altar, and you could just hear the silence. You know, getting people to be silent in a church is difficult when Jesus is exposed. But getting 1.5 million people to go and utter silence, and just so people just kneeling down in silence and reverence because Jesus has been exposed on the altar. That to me was so beautiful a moment to live. And, you know, it just touches your heart to see how people long for Jesus. And there you see people from different cultures, different countries, different backgrounds, just kneeling because Jesus is there. I think that was beautiful. And then they had this wonderful song that this lady, Carmenio, song. And I think that just, you could see the videos and that just show people crying because it was such a beautiful song at such a beautiful moment when everybody just fell down to their knees and worship our Lord Jesus on the Eucharist.
The next World Youth Day is going to be in South Korea. And we love K-pop. And anime has created lots of excitement about Asian cultures. And so if you love K-pop and if you are attracted to anime, don't rule out World Youth Day. But that should not be the reason that you go. Go because you love Jesus and because you think that the Holy Spirit has something for you out there. Try to prepare yourself now to be a good pilgrim later. Take on new experiences, serve people, be a member of a team, cultivate your life of prayer, frequent the sacraments and go to Mass every week. When the fire of faith is alive within you, when you get into a setting like World Youth Day, the Spirit is going to move in you and He's going to reveal you to yourself. If you're looking for a deeper sense of what it means to be a Catholic, or if you're wondering if you're called to be a priest or a consecrated brother or a religious sister, then consider going deeper and going through the grueling physical struggles and the hard interior work that comes along with having to fundraise for a long time to go to World Youth Day. It is hard, but it's worth it.
I found my peace, and I feel like where I'm at, it's, yes, I know the storm and the rocker, but that peace. And then something Christophanic, I got to see his talk, and I took a picture with him, spoke to him and asked him a question after about counseling and being, on my journey. And he looked me in the eyes and he said, "Do not be silent." And those words kind of just stick with me. So many times I can talk, but I'm scared. What if I'm judged? What if I say the wrong thing? What if the person isn't ready? But now I could hear those words in the back of my head, do not be silent. And so for me, that is a big takeaway, that I'm going to say something, because I feel like I'm easily just silent and, I don't want to say anything or do anything. I just want to be quiet. But for me, that is a big takeaway.
After this pilgrimage, I realized that my country is actually more beautiful than I used to think. When I was coming back, we were on the bus on the way to this town, Viejo, and I just saw the sun, and it made me think of how our sun just looks like tropical fruits. And I really love my country more now, definitely. And I love Portugal too. And I think my heart knows that this place where I was born and where I live right now is really one to be appreciated. But I do think that I'm being called for going out. I don't know, but I feel this stronger call that's outside of this town. The next World Youth Day would be in South Korea. I knew that I really wanted to go, but also my priority is for my little sister to go. So I hope that can be done. It's just that 3 years is a lot of time and at the same time a little bit of time. So for all those who are really hoping to go, I really suggest that you start now. Saving, fundraising, it's just a lot of work, and if you start before time, then you will have more chances of success in order to go. Also, it's way further, and so it should be taken more seriously.
The only reason I think any of these groups made it to World Youth Day is because they just never gave up. And I don't even mean that in, your body's tired, or I'm so stressed. I'm talking about literally, some groups. Some groups were 1 week away from going to World Youth Day and weren't sure if they'd get their visa, that kind of thing. Some people were 3 days away from World Youth Day and changed their mind, having everything already paid for, already set. And I experienced that on my own, because being the leader of a World Youth Day, being a pilgrim going to World Youth Day is extremely difficult, versus being a leader going to World Youth Day is another challenge in and of itself. You're just everything that goes wrong is basically your fault. Like, so and people kind of use you as target practice sometimes, and that gets extremely stressful. And the only reason anyone made it there is because they just put one foot in front of the other and kept going, even when it seemed like you wouldn't make it. Like, even when everything around you was saying, you're probably not gonna make it, there's no way. So my advice would be just to keep going. If you want this and you feel God is calling you to go to World Youth Day, know that the devil will test you the whole entire way. You're going to be a better person for having gone through this experience and really leaned into it. And so the devil will try to stop you the whole entire way, and he'll make it seem impossible. And it's like, sometimes you literally just have to close your eyes and say 1, 2, 3, jump, and you jump and you go.
The pilgrimage to World Youth Day 2023 Lisbon has definitely given me a more full picture of the Catholic Church, and has just shown me how universal it actually is to see youth and people just coming from all over the world, different languages, different race, background, ethnicities, all that. But to see that we can all unite, like, as Catholics. And one thing that stands out to me was the Pope Francis's speech from the flag raising ceremony. So my Spanish is very bad, but he was speaking in Spanish, and what I do remember him saying is that we are all called by name, and he said that we all have a space in the church.
I am really excited to see what God does in the hearts of the young people who went to World Youth Day. I would like to watch them grow and inspire for the rest of my life. I am convicted that our world will be a better place because of their prayers and because of the quality of their love, and that their deepened and heightened friendship with one another will prove a powerful little building block as God continues to do great things in Pankevia.
Each group that went to World Youth Day had a completely different experience. Each person who went had their own personal encounter with the Lord. It is very difficult to summarize what World Youth Day is. It is even more difficult to explain the impact that it can have on a person's faith. World Youth Day is truly something you must experience firsthand to understand fully. Next World Youth Day is planned to be in Seoul, in South Korea. It's a few years away in 2027, but I implore all young people, take the chance when it comes in a few years. You will return a changed person. This has been a Guadalupe Media production.